been in the US since 1999, and I've been working as a financial advisor, since I think about 2002. So much of my work has been with individuals, with families, with small businesses, sometimes small size or medium sized businesses, trying to assist with much of the planning and also much of the actual plans that, programs that they put for their employees, like 401ks, health insurance plans, and so on and so forth when it came to businesses. So as an African, you know that much of my effort has always been to say, okay, how can we bring all the resources that you have in this country to, to our fellow people, and so that's really the context under which I met with Kwame a few years back, probably roughly 5 years ago. I was right into a meeting, like trying to do this type of group meetings for I think it was Senegalese back then. It was a group of
Yeah.
Senegalese, yep, that were trying to get together, and I was working on presentations with them. So I have seen these investment clubs come together, grow, and then sometimes come apart too, for some of the reasons, that we can all discuss throughout the times that we will be meeting on this forum, or this platform right here. But everything that I'm bringing today is the result of a lot of experience and a lot of learning uh, processes, I guess. And so I was going to begin by giving you the basic of what a financial advisor is, and how you can check the credentials of an advisor. So I'm going to share this screen here. Um, yeah, and I heard that a lot of you guys are top-notch IT people, so you will have to bear with me and my adjustment to the technology sometimes. So I'm going to share this screen right here. Yeah, share the screen. All right. So everybody can see the screen, right? FINRA. You see FINRA?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see.
So
Yeah.
basically, yeah, FINRA is the financial regulatory authority in the United States. What does it mean? It means that they actually license and then take away licenses from stockbrokers and investment advisors and the like. So when you are one of them, you have to be registered through FINRA. So if any one of you ever had an advisor, a financial advisor, you should be able to do this, like to click on broker check. The website is finra.org. You don't need all those hashtags, but if you go to finra.org, you hit enter, or www.finra.org, you'll come to this page. And then you go to broker check. And then right there on broker check, you should be able to just put the name of the broker. If I put just my last name, which is Ezine, a bunch of people might come with the various forms of Ezine you can find. But if I use my first name, which is a little more rare, I can come right up. So right here, you see Walrand is in, I will come right here. So basically, that's what you would see. So then you want to see more details on the advisor. So you click on more details. And so you have the number of years that, I've been in the business, the firms that I've worked with, the exams that I have, the states where I'm licensed. So you have all those details there. And then to tell you the truth, I've been working with exactly two firms, but they kept buying one of the other, so that's why it looks like quite a few of them. But when I started working in 2002, the firm got purchased twice, and then I moved to another firm, and then they both got purchased again, and I'm still with the new carrier, which is Royal Alliance. So in the presentation, you'll see a lot of Royal Alliance, right now. And then if you scroll down, one thing that you need to learn about your advisors is to see their disclosures. See, okay, do they have complaints and all those different aspects of disclosures that are very critical for you to know whether, or to decide whether you can trust an advisor or not. So that's under disclosure. So those are maybe the two things. You look at their experience, can confirm that, and then when you go to the detailed report, you'll also have a sense of, of their their ethics, if you want, in the industry. So right here you go, scroll down, it's called broker check. You look at everything, and disclosure events, that would be right here. Okay, so disclosure events. Okay, I have no disclosure events. Oh, thank God, right? No, that just means that, you tend to behave yourself and really do the best of your advice, very like a fiduciary. Fiduciary meaning that you really do it for the benefit of your clients all the time. You always put them first. And when there's no deal, no reason to start trying to be uh, slick or anything. So that's the basic things about how to check a broker. Now, also the next thing is to, you can go on my website to now get more details on my background. If you allow me, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna share my second screen. Okay, because okay. Well, only one screen can be shared at a time. Perfect. So that's fine. So I'm gonna take you to the website. So that's michiganfinancial.com/team/Waller and -Izin. So if you go there, you would go to my page in my firm, basically. So that takes you right to my page and will list all the services, I mean, all the servicing that I do. Okay, and then also my background, education side, and then also professional licenses, professional qualification will tell you exactly what I'm actually qualified to say or to do, and to assist with. So the Series 66, for instance, that's investment advisory. So that's really what allows me to recommend this type of investment or this other type of investment, but mainly in the arena of securities. And then the Series 7 is an actual stockbroker license. And then everything else is, like insurance based and so on and so forth. So that's how you can typically check an advisor. Now, that being said, I'm very, very open. I've been with Kwame for a while now. We had a very good a synergy. We work well together. So everything that we engage in, we tend to actually move fairly effectively when we start working on that. So he really had me understand that this is something he's trying to build with very selected people, and I can see that tonight. And he's actually trying to build it big with you guys. So he's bringing me along, and that's a very major honor for me to actually be even part of this effort. And you'll have like my full entire dedication as to making this or helping this succeed. That being said, I wanted to start moving into. I mean, maybe I could tell you one or two stories about investment clubs, and that's all I'm going to do. Just to, like, for instance, the Senegalese club, when they came together, what happened was that um, I mean, it was roughly 20 people. Back I can't remember the year, but probably 2009 or 2000. Yeah, those years around there, maybe 2007 or so. And so they came together, and then we put the group together. We had it set up as a partnership. And the funny thing is, we were looking at stocks. We bought a few stocks, Bank of America, different stocks. So they were more or less average returns. And after maybe the rules were that you had to be in the group for 5 years. So they were all already upfront rules. They all put about $1,000 up front. So you had like 20 grand the day that the stock market, the group was started. And then every month they were to add, maybe I can't remember if it was $400 or $500, something like that, and so on and so forth. So that's where the discipline started, kind of falling apart, because there was that monthly contribution. We had like regular meetings and so. And then after 5 years, we did that for 5 years. We made some profit, because we were trading stocks. I'm a stockbroker, so we were trading stocks and so. And I can't remember what happened exactly, but they all felt that, it might have been after the shakeup of the stock market. Everybody wasn't feeling too confident and so on and so forth. So, they are started deciding to leave. So that was very interesting, because the last thing we did was the Facebook stock. So the year that Facebook came out, we bought that stock at $30 a share, I think. it was right at the launch. We bought it at $30. Then the stock went all the way down to I think 17, and there were very jittery people in the group, and so we were saying, no, we have to keep at it. We have to keep at it. And before you know, and I was trading options. I was doing option contracts a lot. And so there were five people left. So of those 20, there were just five of them. And by the time, everybody, and the interesting thing is that everybody got their money back. So I had to do the trades in a way that people came out even, so they didn't really lose money. But the five that stayed, they actually multiplied their money by three. And as soon as because we were trading options, so the Facebook stock went down to 17, but then it went all the way up to 100, and now it's like in the 150, 170 or plus. So this is the idea. So the idea here is, first off, stamina. You have to be engaged in this process in a way that you keep having this meeting, you keep having those conversations, but you have to have your mind set to the future, because the way that only five people really benefited from the whole effort, to me was like, wow, that's not fair, but hey, that's the people who actually just stayed around and then kept, with the process. And that's almost always the case when it comes to investments, you see. And you take any area, like even housing, like those people who just got discouraged in 2008, and then gave up their properties and all those things, started selling their houses at a loss and all that. What happened, within the first 10 years, all those property were back up. So that's the idea here too, you see. And then I agree, now we're going down, but you have to look at what is really happening. Doesn't this really look like an actual gold mine type of opportunity to begin this effort that Kwame is actually initiating with you guys? Because well, we'll get into why later on, but that's the kind of mindset in which you want to go into investment. If you don't set your mind to the goal and you don't set your discipline towards those goals, you might really miss out on what it is about, which is making money, setting yourself and your family in a very different financial position, because the setup is there, the environment is very dynamic. You have all the institutions, the resources, even the people, the skill sets to actually create that kind of value when it comes to money, basically. So I'm going to do this in a straight shot, because I know I have a limited amount of time, and I heard you guys want to go to sleep. So I'm going to go straight into what is the typical structure of an investment club to get there. And my second story, I'm gonna wrap it up. It's a group that's still going right now. There are like just, I think, 4 or 5 guys now doing t-shirts. That's what they do. They're investing, they have money, they're pulling money together, they're investing, and they're printing t-shirts and they're selling them. You see, same idea. They want to do t-shirts. Now they're looking at doing like those carts that you can do burgers or like flip hot dogs on and then have one. But with the real, I mean, with this coronavirus thing coming out right now, it's going to be a little different. So they're just going to sit on the couch for a minute, see where the economy is going. But that's the idea. So they're trying to go into food. They're already doing like clothing, and they're trying to expand clothing, and so on and so forth. So these investment clubs truly do make sense, because you actually really get to leverage the money of multiple people to achieve bigger goals. What one person couldn't do by themselves, multiple people usually can achieve it. So how do we get to the area where, what is the basic structure of this type of project? So I'm going to show you uh, one other. This is yet another one. It's a hedge fund actually that I've been helping with. And then this hedge fund structure is going to help me explain to you what this group, with Globodyne might be set up as, especially when you ask, like an individual with the firm that I have behind me to assist with the process. So when you take a hedge fund, and you know what, if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to interrupt or to let me know, and I can elaborate a little more. All right. So you would start with a general partner. Now that general partner would be um, the person who's going to be, the, the lead person in the group. Okay. Now the general partner will bring in like limited partners, which will be the investors, like all of you. And then this group right here can be set up as a limited partnership most of the time. Okay. So now when you look at the general partner, his responsibilities would include operations, processes, supervision, and planning. And then that leads to actual legal documents that need to be created, like the management agreement. So like all the limited partners would have to agree that, okay, these are the responsibilities and the authorities of the general partner. Now, the limited partners would also sign, what's called a partnership agreement, placement, private placement memorandum, and a subscription agreement because they subscribe to the partnership. So whatever money they bring in would represent a percentage of their ownership in that partnership. So that's where the subscription agreement and other items of the limited partnership agreement would include. And the private placement memorandum would just say that the money that we actually are putting here is not money that's, like it's not for stocks, it's not for a public company, it's for a private group, basically. Okay, so it's internal, basically. That's what the private placement means. And the rules at the state level for a private placement are different than the one for, what you could call quote unquote public placement, which would be stocks in general. So now you have those, but then once you have all these money gathered up in the group, you need to have an investment manager. Basically, that's the outside entity to the actual partnership. Now, what the responsibilities of the investment manager would include advisory, a portfolio design, and then also investment strategy and planning. So the investment manager really focuses on managing the money, you know. Now, on the legal side, some of the documents that get created by, you know, with regard to the investment manager would be the agreement itself, the operating agreement, and then all the others. Those are like the Form D filings and the investment advisory registration. Those are to the state, basically. Those are forms that you file to the state when you're going to be the investment advisor to a partnership. So that structure basically, um, the top part of that structure, when you take the general partner with the investment manager, that's what you generally look at as a hedge fund. So that's what hedge funds are out there. And now the additional participant to this would include where the funds and the securities are kept. That's the custody of the funds. And then you have also the accounting of the monies, and then when you run audits, and then when you have to file your taxes, and finally legal counsel. All those legal documents that I'm showing you right here, they're created by, generally attorneys. So when you have all these different participants, those are the ones that would be banks, and then the broker dealer to manage the funds, the accounting firm, and then finally the attorney to actually create and then continue to run the legal side of all those interactions, between those different entities and people. All right. Is it simple enough?
It makes sense.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense? Perfect. All right. So I appreciate that feedback because I'm gonna now, when it comes to now, we're gonna try to isolate things, in a way that can make sense to what we're trying to achieve right here. Okay, so let me do it this way.
Voice is cutting out a little bit.
Okay, it's breaking up. Can you say it again?
It's a little bit rough.
Can you hear me?
It's scratching. It's kind of scratchy.
Oh yeah, you come scratchy to me too. Oh wow. Am I coming scratchy? Am I very scratchy?
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah,
One
but
second.
I can hear you, but it's scratchy.
Just a second. Is this better?
No,
You can try,
One
you
second.
can keep going. I think it's just the internet going in and out. So just, you can keep going, but it's a little scratchy, yeah.
Okay. Because I think I know what the problem is. I'm using two computers, so I don't know if there are interferences between the two. If that's okay, I'm going to shut down the one that has my camera. I'm going to turn it off so I can focus on the one that has the.
Okay, that if that's what, if that will work better, that's fine. We are looking at your
Yeah,
screen, so
yeah,
we don't.
yeah. I'm going to close the other one then, the one with the camera, so I can focus on this one. Am I coming clearer or still scratchy?
It's all
You all hear me?
Yeah, so scratchy.
Okay.
Maybe you
All
can
right.
hang up and just hop back in.
You want me to do that? I can do that. You know, if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna hang up and then come back in.
Sure.
Okay.
yeah, that'd be great.
Want to take over from here for a minute?
Okay, let's try that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
All right. So do you want to maybe as in give us a quick kind of close up on what you just presented to us, and then we can take some more questions, and then it's already 11 o'clock. So
Yeah, okay. All right. So like the quick close up is that I showed you the extended, like the very complex and the very large scale view of a hedge fund, which is really what investment clubs are. But now what I wanted to do to close it out is to show you how can we narrow that down to what you're trying to achieve here at this level when you're trying to raise about 100,000. For instance, we can limit that to three entities, like you guys, the investors, bring the money to the table. Then think of Globodyne as the managing partner right there. And then on the advisory and the investment side, that's where, you know, me as an individual, I'm not just a representative of an advisory, but there's a whole entity behind me called the broker dealer. There's an investment advisory, and then there's also a major bank, you know, the National Financial Services. It's a bank in New York that actually has, you know, keeps the funds. So when you put all these three together, you can actually create all the safety now, all the security that you need around the monies that you guys are pulling together. But also in the operational side of things, you want to operate based on bylaws, you know, bylaws that you always have for most, you know, like even, you know, nonprofit organizations, you know, our African associations typically would have like bylaws and all. So it always makes sense to have bylaws that would actually include the rules of this is how much everybody brings, and this is what percentage you actually qualify for from the profits. You know, if we make profits or if we distribute, you know, revenue at the end of the year or once in every 5 years, all those rules typically would come out of a bylaw. And so that's really how you hold the Globodyne accountable, you know, for, you know, keeping books and records of your contributions, of your profits and of your monies. And if you need distributions, you know, typically it will be issued by Globodyne. But now the actual custody of the funds would be done through those institutions that are, you know, if you want, behind me. Now, to interact with you, to come to meetings all the time like this, and then to address like individual questions, to really help with the planning, you know, which is because you always have, always want to have an investment plan. That's really what liberates you. You know, when you're missing that step, when you're just randomly choosing investments, or when you're going like haphazard and then deciding to invest in, I don't know, you know, like in Uber, you know, you decide to buy a car and have a driver out there, or have like buy 5 cars and have drivers out there. The problem is always not having a plan, you know, because when you have a plan, for example, you always create your contingencies, basically. What do I mean by that? We're going to have, for instance, you're going to have a program where you actually have houses, for instance. Now you actually have investment. You also invest in a bond or in a city that would yield 2, 3, 4% a year to actually cover some of the expenses that you'll have in doing some of the management, the regular management of the properties and all that. So that's really how you balance of investment. A portion of it creates some of the money and the other portion of it assumes the risk. So all that is typically designed in a very elaborated plan that advisors like myself, working with accountants, like Lassina, like Kwame, and so on, we come back and then propose to the investor group, and then the group votes on that. So you could have like 2, 3. You could have actually projects coming from the investors themselves. They can propose, some ideas or some directions in which you'd like to see the group. And then, you take a vote, and all those are held into those bylaws. So all the legals that I showed you in the complex, hedge fund structure, you can simplify that with those bylaws, and then those two entities, the Globodyme as the operating branch, and then the advisory side using an actual real broker-dealer and a real investment firm, basically. Backed up with an investment bank, which is National Financial Services. So that's the idea. I was going to sketch all that for you guys, but you guys are all very smart, and if you have any questions, we can address them and then go more in depth. Did I cover the points, Kwame, or did I miss something?
No, I think you kind of gave us all that is important to know for this meeting. So we can open it up for questions and then take it from there. Any questions? All minds clear? Everybody feel safe? So, and this is not the beginning and the end of the question. If you ever want to, follow up with questions, everything, I think what I'll do again is I'll put your contact information in the email I send out, right?
Okay. So
people can email you directly or reach out to you. So I'm going to send out 3 things. So I'm going to send out link to input information if you want to commit to this. I'm going to send out the video recording, and then I'm going to send out the information for Ezen and his financial institution. So you will get that email in the morning. Okay, if all minds are clear, I think I've taken enough of everybody's time for the evening. I really wanted this to just be within an hour. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly, or you will have Ezen information in the morning. So, and I think what would be good, Ezen, if you can send me those slides, okay, I can attach it to the email. That would be helpful too. So people can, yeah. Okay, that would be awesome. All right, thank you, everybody. If everything is clear, I think I'll just go ahead and end the meeting, and then follow up with the email, and everything will be on there. All right?
Sounds good.
All right,
thank
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Kwame. And remember, next time, not 10 p.m., okay?
Thanks.
He's crazy, yeah. You guys have a good night.